Hi, this is Dale Rhoda. Welcome back to the Survey Scholar video series for analysts. In this brief video, I'm just going to point out to you some resources to help you interpret the coverage estimates, the coverage indicator results after you've calculated them. The last few videos have been about how to calculate them in different packages and what sort of figures you might like to make to go along with them. I just want to point out this resource to help you interpret the results using putting the numbers into sentences. So you'll find in the shares, or you'll find a link maybe with this announcement for this video, to what we call the Wiki Results Interpretation Quick Reference Guide. This is part of the Wiki documentation. You're going to learn more about Wiki next week. We won't be running Wiki in this course, but those of you who do go on to support coverage surveys may run Wiki in the future. And a lot of the documentation for Wiki is relevant even if you're not running the software, because it gets down on paper some of the things that WHO would like us to calculate in these surveys. So this is the Results Interpretation Quick Reference Guide, and just want to point out that it's filled with sections like this. For each indicator that you might calculate, it lays out briefly a few things that are helpful. It reminds you whether the indicator is weighted or not. So this section is from the very first indicator. This is crude coverage. Is there any evidence that this child was vaccinated or not? And so it says, yes, this is a weighted indicator, describes the definition of the denominator, the definition of the numerator, and then the newest version of this document has a section for each indicator saying, what do we do when the responses, when the survey variables are missing, or if the caregiver, the caretaker says, I don't know if my child received that dose or not. So DNK in this document stands for do not know. And so it just mentions briefly what the code does with those. Are those respondents kept in the calculation or tossed out? And are they counted as being vaccinated or not being vaccinated? And then finally, there's a sample sentence where you can plug in your numbers and maybe plug in the dose name, some other information. And this is a sentence that you can use where you can be sure that you're interpreting the indicator correctly. So in this case, if we used some software to estimate crude coverage in the manner we've been discussing in these videos, we could say the estimate was 11.1%. We might say 11.1% of the population who are eligible for the survey are estimated to have received maybe Penta 3, as documented by CARD and caregiver recall. So you have to fill in some blanks here in the sentence, but it gives you the appropriate structure for interpreting the indicators. So we'll just have a quick look now at the document. Here it is in its PDF form as you'll receive it. We'd love to have comments from you about this document. So if you have any feedback, please be sure to send it along. If you catch mistakes or if you think something could be worded in a clearer manner, please let us know. So here's the section we just looked at about what Wiki calls RI coverage 01 or crude coverage. Then there's a section about how to interpret the results for valid coverage. Includes some notes here, a sentence for interpretation. Moving on, how do we interpret the results for the indicator that tells us what proportion of kids were fully vaccinated or not? How do we do it for the proportion of kids that are not vaccinated, and so on? So you can see this is a 22-page document, and it's available to you in the course material. I hope that it will be helpful as you work on your creator project, your analysis plan, and as you populate a table and then interpret some results from that table in your creator project. I hope that this quick reference guide will be helpful to you. So as is always the case, if you have questions about this video, then please post them in the Survey Scholar community update where you found the link to this video. And if that does not work for you for some reason, then send us an email. Thanks very much.